Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this Etheria restart video. So we are finally done with our day 1 grind, and in this video we're going to run through the updated targeted summon banner recommendations based off the global release of the game and discuss about which units you want to go for based off your current collection. So for my own account right here, we haven't done the target banner summon because what we did was we got Lilith, and then we got Borgne from the permanent summon, and then we went to pull for Freya on this banner because I actually want to get Dina as well as Kraken for the different bosses, which I was lucky I got Kraken and Sanya here. I'm still missing Dina, so we shall see whether or not we want to actually roll for Dina right here because Dina's insanely powerful for the bosses, so we shall see. But right now we are still holding some tickets, and with regards to the targeted summon, what I would strongly recommend you guys do is to do your permanent summons, do your Freya summons, and then take a look at your own collection and look at the SSRs as well as the SR units you have, and then decide what roles or what types of units you are missing before committing to your targeted summon. So that would be something that I'll strongly recommend. So for the different units right here, I think all of them are a lot better because some of them they got buffed, and the really OP ones like Tiamat got scaled down in terms of power level. So I do think that this unit is still usable, but probably not as broken as she used to be in final CBT. If you were to take a look at this list right here, there's technically only 3 to 4 units which I wouldn't recommend people go for, or at least beginners go for, and let me explain like all the different units right here. Okay, so first of all we have Serlins. So Serlins is a shielder with some sort of debuff in her kit, but the debuff is very RNG based. It's a debuff between 3 different types of debuffs onto the enemies, and it's not very consistent and not very helpful for beginners in terms of team building, so I strongly don't recommend her. Linglo is gonna be a free SSR character on the 7th day of lock-in, so yeah, she's very strong, but you'll be getting her for free, so don't bother going for the targeted summon. Don't waste this precious chance to get a good unit to fill up the void in your team. Another unit which I won't recommend is Veronica. So I think Veronica is strong in terms of the PvP side, don't get me wrong, but I don't think Veronica is very friendly for progression. So it's also not very friendly for beginners because I think you need to know what type of teams you can counter with her in PvP, and there are a lot of contents, at least in the early to mid game, which you won't find too much of a use for, so kind of wasted if you go for her. And if you really want some sort of like stat stealing stuff, then you can go for her later, but that would be for late game PvP. In the early game, yeah, like I don't think she's that good for the PvP side. So another unit which I think is okay but I wouldn't recommend would be Mia, because I feel that wasting your like precious targeted summon which guarantees you an SSR character on a healer is kind of wasted, because there are a lot of amazing healers in the current meta. Sanya got nerfed, but I think she's still pretty okay. We still have Chucky, which recently got buffed as well, and we're getting Linglo on the 7th day anyway, right? We can also use Dorothy as an intermediary healer, so that's why I strongly don't recommend Mia. I don't think she's bad, it's just that I think you have a better specific unit to go for based off your own team situation. Okay, so these are the 4 units I won't recommend. So for Hellkid, if you are looking for a AoE damage dealer with a debuff protection as well as debuffs in the attack down and also the stun onto the enemy, I think Hellkid is pretty good. She's able to generate a shield, do AoE damage, as well as do all the different debuffs I mentioned earlier against the enemies. So this makes him a pretty unique character in terms of what he do, and is generally versatile as a unit which can be splashed into multiple teams. So he is quite versatile, and it's probably one of the top 5s. I think this unit would be 3rd in terms of the recommendation. So that would be Hellkid. Kloros right here got buffed in terms of the damage numbers, and I think his damage calculation from the Private website is definitely good, but I think this game has no lack of DPS, and if you have gotten your Messiah or your Hendrich or your other really powerful DPS, then I think he won't be a top priority. However, if you are missing this very powerful bursty damage dealer, then Kloros could be the pick for you in case this is the missing role in your hero collection. Beyontin is crit damage plus attack buff, so this unit is pretty good to give you that massive damage boost. The only issue is this unit is not the fastest buffer as compared to like other really good buffers. So I guess if you want a unit that gives you that big damage later on with the ability to revive and also have a little bit of tankiness through the Underworld Flower skill, I think Beyontin is an option you can go for. So if you have Lilith, if you have Chiaki, if you have all the really good buffers, even if you have Tsukiyomi right here, I think Beyontin is keepable. So that's with regards to Beyontin. So Veronica, Mia, I wouldn't recommend them. I think Xiada's buff is actually okay. I guess Xiada's problem is her being a little bit too slow. So this unit wants as many buffs on her as possible before she's able to trigger her maximum DPS on her second skill. So I think if you're able to get the full stacks on her on the second skill itself, she's actually pretty powerful on the damage compartment. Similar to Kloros, if you're missing a raw damage dealer that is easy to build up and fits into the buffing teams very easily, I think Xiada is a good option if you're missing a blue DPS. Right, if you are missing a red DPS, Kloros would be the guy to go for. So that will be like between Kloros and Xiada. They're good for damage, does a lot of damage, and they got buffed before the final CBT. Definitely going to be better, but I think their overall utility and the whole package is not the most complete. So unless you're really missing a good high DPS unit, this unit is probably not the top most priority for you. So Borgne right here, even though he got buffed, it's a little bit too early to say because his buff is a translation of attack percentage to HP, which means that he could be a little bit tanky or tankier. But I think his ability is still a little bit underwhelming, at least in the current meta. I could see the ignore passive being really good in the future with more powerful defensive passives running around. But right now, I think Borgne is a little bit not very suitable for the meta, so I wouldn't recommend this unit. Like if you need a blue attacker, I think Xiada's a lot better. And like, yeah, Borgne is really niche to counter the passive, which doesn't really exist that much in this game yet. So that's for Borgne. Rosa is a more late game centric character with a lot of damage because she crits easily, she has follow-up damage, and she has AoE coverage as well. Incidentally, he's also able to provide a crit rate buff for the whole team, which is amazing as a whole. But I think Rosa's case, right, early game she might be a little bit weak. So if you want to invest in her, I guess you should be looking at her becoming a lot better in the late game because crit rate is a stat that scales into the late game. So that's with regards to Rosa. Tiamat got nerfed. She used to be a really powerful tanky shielder, taunter, and a massive damage dealer with the ability to self-heal, but her self-heal got reduced massively. So I do think that Tiamat as a damage dealer is still really valid, but I think her longevity is definitely affected in this global release. So if you're missing, I'll say like a generic, well-rounded blue carry, right? So Hellkid is the red generically good like carry in terms of like versatility. I think Tiamat is still very versatile. So I guess if let's say you want a unit that can shield, that can taunt, that can do AoE and self-heal, I think Tiamat is still the way to go, even though she got nerfed. So that's with regards to Tiamat. Tsukiyomi is I guess an okay buffer. She has speed buff as well as attack buff, which is speed is always good, right? So Tsukiyomi could be your speed control unit in case you didn't get your Lily, you didn't get your Chiaki, or you didn't manage to get your Freya or even Marvel. Or if you have Marvel but you want more speed control unit in your arsenal for the later RTA, then you can go for Tsukiyomi as well. So Linglor skip. Rilmocha's a pretty good single target damage dealer, and if she's able to kill the enemy, she's able to reset the CD of her skill and also change her massive single target into a splash damage, which is good for Doki Doki. So Rilmocha's quite good as a green carry. So the three big damage dealers, right, from the different factions: Kloros, Rilmocha, as well as Xiada. So they are the type of units that does a lot of damage, and you just want to buff them up, and then they will be able to hit super hard. Right, so this tree will be the way to go in case you're missing units in that role. In terms of the versatility compartment, I think Hellkid and Tiamat will probably be the more versatile one. Rosa is a unit that goes from 0 to hero, so I would also recommend her if you like this sort of early game not so strong, but late game super strong unit. So for Lilith's case, I think she's still relatively PvP centric. The control is good for Doki Doki for sure, and the increase in damage of the second skill means that you can actually build a lot of HP on her and she can hit really hard. So semi DPS, but in most cases I think she's still going to be PvP control and repeated extra turns for the cooldown cycling for her to spam her skills in general. So very PvP centric. Not that recommended if you're looking for a unit for progression, but definitely usable, right, with the control and the AoE coverage. So Rahu got buffed, and I think Rahu as a unit is definitely stronger. Right now, I haven't actually seen a lot of people use him yet, and I think the issue with Rahu would be the team builds, because a lot of teams wants to build attack, and Rahu is a unit that scales in terms of damage based off defense. So unless you are specifically building a team that buffs up defense, for example Rahu with Tsukiyomi, I think Rahu is not going to be as powerful as a damage dealer because his main stat is defense. So that would be Rahu's case. But let's say if you do have plans to build a team around Rahu later on, you can keep your targeted summon and then pull for him on it later on. So that's for Rahu. Kloss right now I think is definitely a lot better. So this unit over here is another speed control unit, because you are able to debuff the turn of the opponent, and with the recent buff to her ultimate, she's also able to apply a speed down. So very good like speed tuning unit. So from this list itself, I think there's a little bit of everything for every role. And if you're looking for a speed tuner, Kloss as well as Tsukiyomi for the different color factions. Damage dealer, you have Kloros as well as Rilmocha and Xiada on the raw damage side. The more versatile damage dealer would be Hellkid, Tiamat, Rosa to a certain extent, and then for the buffing side, Beyontin is okay, and I guess to a certain extent you can sort of group Tsukiyomi as a buffer as well. So yeah, Tsukiyomi is pretty flexible in terms of what she wants to do, and if you have very specific niche units you want to build teams around, you can obviously go for Lilith or Rahu right here. So this is with regards to the targeted summon. Hopefully I broke down all these different units and their users, and you know what players want to go for which unit based on your own hero collection. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more Etheria restart video from the channel, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.